everyone, and welcome to the first episode of Kingdom Debrief. No, we're not taking off our underwear. We're actually going to be discussing Kingdom. I have some members of the team here with me. So some members of our regular team. We have Natalia, Krysti, and Trish.
Frankie, it's really bold of you to assume that we're wearing underwear to begin with.
You have to be forward, haven't you? We are recording, yes.
Yes. So these lovely ladies are going to join us, and in the future episodes, we'll also have Lucy and Swenson, who couldn't actually make it today. That will be in the regular episodes. Now, I am a real noob to these shows. I've never actually watched one all the way through. I've only watched probably 3 episodes of Road to Kingdom, which is where obviously Road to Hagdom gets its name from. I hated it. And I'm shit at it. But Trish has a wonderful stream going on Twitter. So if you're not following her, at Trish Milburn, follow her. Very detailed thread about Kingdom. So I thought, you know what? I'm going to let someone else take over. So Trish, thank you very much. And I'm leaving it to you.
All right. Thank you all so much for taking part. Opposite of Frankie, I loved Road to Kingdom, except for elimination part bit, and I'm still going to be salty about that forever. So, did the other 2 of you, did you watch Road to Kingdom?
I only watched some of the performances. I didn't actually watch the whole show because usually elimination shows make me really anxious, and I feel really bad for like the competitors, especially when they were all like, freshly debuted little babies, and I was like, my heart can't handle it,
and that's why I can't do
it. But the performances I liked watching.
It was different in that I couldn't watch the full shows. Thankfully, the Viki streaming service is doing the subbing, Englishing for this. And thank you, volunteer subbers.
Yay! You deserve to be paid. You deserve to be paid.
Yes.
So I'm similar. Yeah, I'm similar in that I tried to watch the full episodes, but I just couldn't get that website to work. And in frustration, I just because I was fairly obsessed with it. I loved it so much. I just watched and rewatched every bit of anything else that was on YouTube. So.
So many great performances. Even the 2 teams that were eliminated were just so good, and I love supporting all 7 of those teams, and I'm going to be the same way with Kingdom. I mean, obviously you can tell from my shirt that SF is one of my favorite groups. But the thing, like I say in my Twitter feed, I'm going to be very honest about my assessments of the performances, no matter who, SF9 is one of my olds, but after Road to Kingdom, I loved the boys. ATs was the first group I saw in concert. So it's like, I love all these teams. Like, I wish them all well. And I wish that like stuff was not a thing, but it is. So,
all right. Next up is, did you have any sort of expectations going into episode 1? For me, I knew that having all these established groups, whether they were, the newbies, ATs, or all the way up to B2B who have been around for a decade, I thought that it was still going to be hard to choose between, each week. And probably every week is going to be a different range based on whatever the theme of the week is and that kind of thing. Mm-hmm. And that proved to be true, because it's like, I did have a top 3 for this week, but all of them did great. It's like any first place placement would have been legitimate. So did you have any sort of expectations?
Well, I had it was less of an expectation and more of a slight confusion when I initially saw who was going on, because there's one group on there whom I love quite a bit, but they don't really fit the vibe of the rest of them. And that is B2B, who are hands down the best vocalists on the show.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
However, they're not really
They're not like
hyped
big
up
stage
dance
performers.
performance. Yeah, they're like.
But I think
So I was
might
like
actually
watching.
work for them.
I think it will too, but I was just sort of watching and I was like kind of like laughing to myself. And this is said with total love, so do not come from me, Melody, because I love B2B too. But like I was watching it, I'm like, yeah, you got all these sick dance crews and the best barbershop quartet you've ever heard. Like, welcome to Kingdom.
But what was it they said? They actually said something, and then I thought, okay, because I thought, how would they agree to be on? They're
yeah, that's what I was wondering too.
They did.
I've got the quote written down.
What was it?
Yeah,
What was
it's
it?
Minnie Hook.
Dreams aren't only for children. I think older people need to have them too.
Yeah, that was nice. That was nice.
And I remember,
think they also talked about challenging that before they get too. I think when they were sitting on the face, they said something about before they get too old, they want something that challenges them.
Yeah. That's how Minnie Hook was able to get the rest of them on board with performing. He's like, we're known for being the vocalist, and let's do something that challenges us before, before they're hags.
Oh, they're getting closer every day to joining us.
I had no expectations. I mean, I sort of, because I haven't watched these before, I don't know what to expect, except I know there's not elimination, but I just don't like I know there's going to be them beating themselves up about not doing as well as they should, and I know that's going to happen, so I just have to suck it up and sit there getting mad.
Mm-hmm.
So for me too, that was probably what I was expecting coming in. I'd watched the, how long was it before? 3 weeks before, or a month before, the super short, just 90 seconds. And so
it was back in February.
Yes. So coming into that with that was my big thing too, was like, oh, B2B sang, how's that so that was my big thing coming in, was how's that going to go down? Yeah. And really, because that was clearly different from anything that happened in Road to Kingdom. Everyone in Road to Kingdom just went the dance performance.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they did fantastic.
Really interesting.
They were wonderful singers, and they blew everyone else out of the water vocally.
But it's interesting because it's going to set them apart, and that may actually work in the. It was really interesting when all the teams came in, and you had like the three younger teams on one side, and they're all like black, and then the other side is like the older teams, and you've got two in white and one in like different color suits. Yeah. And I'm just like, okay, that's an interesting there. I kind of like the newer and the younger groups and how they're like responding to each other. It was funny, like after Changso from BTB, he's so funny. I think he's going to be the Wyatt Eaton of this season, and just him after AT's performs, and he says, I don't think we should perform. That was very funny.
We shouldn't do this.
What was something that surprised you the most this week?
Oh, seeing Hyunjin there from Stray Kids. I forgot that he was there. And it made me so sad because they obviously didn't focus on him at all.
No, they pretended he didn't exist. It was so bizarre, the editing. The editing was so bizarre because it's like it was so obvious what they were doing that it like brought more attention to it. Like how whenever and also too. However, every time was speaking, they would never show his face. It was just like the disembodied voice that you'll never hear again after this episode because of really dumb scandals.
Yeah.
And it's just like
what's interesting is there was somebody in another group who is no longer around who they did like the blurring thing where they blurred
that was annoying.
BI and Ilhoon, but they did not blur the other person. I found the blurring ignoring.
It was distasteful.
Annoying.
I found it distasteful.
Like it was like we're going to erase their existence,
Yeah, like it's one thing if like it's a like for example, if you're watching like something with Big Bang and they blur Sungri, I'm okay with that, But like these people didn't do anything wrong. Yeah. Like they're just not there. You don't have to pretend like, especially since half the songs that Icon have were written by BI. Like,
Yeah.
don't pretend like he doesn't
his name
exist.
showed up in the credits, you know, like when they came out to perform, but it's like, but he's this blurry person over here. I was like, oh, y'all, you're just
they
drawing
legally
attention
have to credit him, but
yeah, they might. Yeah, and there might also, it might be a legal thing too. Like they might not have the filming rights to show
I did
him,
think of that.
Yeah.
I still found it annoying.
What also surprised me, I guess, they were just so nervous, but Icon came out. They were just not nervous.
They were so chill.
They were so chill. I was looking at Icon like, these guys they've been there, they've done that.
Like they just, oh my God, Bobby's face during their performance. I was losing it how cute he was. He was just grinning like, yeah, we're doing it. Like, and even like the other teams were like, look at his face. Yeah. Like he's so relaxed, and he's just like.
It was so cute how everybody was fanboying.
Yes,
you know, over them when they came in.
This is actually what I was most surprised about. Was what I've written down that it was all of the fanboy. I don't know why I'm surprised by that. Well, you know, of course, but it was adorable. The fanboying over the two older groups. Mm-hmm.
Han nice from Stray Kids was like having the best time of his life.
Yeah,
I know. It's my beautiful
getting so excited. Yep.
I do love how what I like about the fact that it's not an elimination show is that they don't actually have to really see these people as their competition. You know what I mean? Like there's no, you know, they can just become friends and help each other out and hype each other up.
Nervous.
Yeah,
and that's
why being so nervous. Yeah, you know, it's not.
And
that
that's
bad,
what I liked about Road to Kingdom is I feel like those groups really did bond, and you see them hyping each other's new music up every time something new comes out now, and they take part in each other's TikTok challenges, and it's like I just love that. It's like I wish that type of dynamic could transfer to the fandoms.
I guess
so that,
trauma can you can bond very quickly with traumatic events.
Oh yeah,
it was so nice to see even just halfway through the episode some of the bonding that was already happening, like the stretching with the boys and Stray Kids. They were like, "Come on, let's," you know. And it was really lovely. Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
it was cute.
But
and how when like Stray Kids came out and everyone else was like, "Oh, look at all the tattoos! Like they must be like, oh, like, like it was just cute. Like it was, you know,
it's sort of like I mean, it's like it was kind of surprising to me. It was and it wasn't how incredibly nervous, especially Stray Kids seemed to be. And it's kind of like you know, they probably just objectively, they probably have one of the larger fandoms, and so they're going to have a lot of support. But oh my God, I wanted to give Banshee a hug and want to chill, dude.
Man, I just wanted to like make Felix a cup of cocoa and be like, "Don't worry, my dude, it's gonna be okay. You're doing your best. Tea. Don't worry." Yeah, you know, like how about just lie down? I'll like, you know, give you a little shoulder massage, like de-stress, you know.
Yeah.
Oh, that poor boy.
Yeah, he did have a tough ask though. That move he did, it was definitely it was tough.
Oh,
it was a tough ask.
When just when they were doing like the rehearsal videos and that first jump from the boys where he like just ate ass on the floor. Like I was like, whoa, oh God, ooh, no. Like that looks like it really hurt. I like anyway, I thought that was clever editing to sympathize, even if you don't follow the boys, as it were.
Yeah. I do feel like probably Mnet was focusing on the problems that they all had in their practices just for dramatic effect, because they did it every time.
For sure.
And then they come out and they do fine. It's like it's all part of the like dun dun dun, you know.
Yeah, so. The dramatic edits to make it more interesting. Right. Like I get it.
Something else that kind of surprised me was how some of the older groups seem to be worried about how they would be compared to the newer groups, because you know they've been around. K-pop has changed a bit since they debuted. It was really funny how BTB was talking about how they were, you know, Stray Kids was like in elementary school whenever they debuted, and but it was kind of interesting to see them say, I don't know how we're going to be compared to these, the younger, more just energetic and like the just very powerful performances a lot of the newer gen groups have.
They were also saying, we couldn't even pull off one of those outfits when we were younger, let alone now.
It was like B2B was so relatable. Like while watching them, they were like, "Oh yeah, we're kind of old. We've been around. Like we're not dead, but like
I was watching. They did a live stream just before the show went up, and Unkwang was complaining about his knees, about he's been doing so much choreography lately. His knees are really, and he even he's been told
so relatable.
Because I know he's apparently fine. It's just because he's suddenly doing so much. They're like, you'll be fine. It's just that's why your knees are aching.
Take some Tylenol. Chill out, old man.
I'm
Don't
like,
worry
enjoy
about
it. Give it another 10 years and you'll feel your knees then.
Knees.
Yeah.
Because you get in your 50s and everything pops. And like Frankie and I were talking about, it's like, having to push ourselves up on furniture.
Oh my God.
To get out
if I'm on the ground, there's no way I'm going to roll and grab something.
It's so funny because I developed arthritis at the age of 11. So it's like, I'm like an old lady. So I do the same thing. So I like really, so every time I'll be like, oh, my knees, people be like, oh, wait till you're older. I'm like, my bones don't know age. I'm already there.
Always makes up like funniest moments. We've touched on some of these, but I felt like there was a lot of them. I think Chainsaw is so funny. And then another thing that cracked me up was all the comments from the other teams about how SF9 looked like moles when they came out and how tall they were.
I know. And then the one that made me laugh was I forget which member of Stray Kids was like, "Don't worry, maybe in our next life we'll all get to be tall."
Jihacknyeon from the boys was saying, Changbin, he's like, "Let's be taller in our next life."
Yeah, let's be tall in our next life. Yeah. Oh,
okay, Changbin is my height. He's like 5'6", according to my profile. So it's sort of, and then like you've got Rowoon, who is like my husband's height, like 6'3". So it's sort of like, so it's like Shane and Rowoon, or it's like me and my husband,
Wow.
Yeah.
But that's, speaking of SF9, that was one of the parts I was cracking up when they came out, and you could tell they were going to do the low bow to B2B, and B2B's like, no, don't, and they're like, nope, we're on the ground.
We're already doing it.
That was so funny.
B2B's like, we're not your grandparents, please. No.
It's really SF9's like the middle child in this bunch, because you've got like the younger ones, and then you have Icon and but it's sort of in the middle, and it was sort of like they stood out because you had like the three teams that were like all in black, and then you had the two teams in white, and then you had SF9 who were like in their suits, three-piece suits and stuff, and it's just like
amazing. It was really cool.
Those three-piece suits.
Yeah, Icon talking about them going, that's cheating. They're going to win just based on their looks.
Visual.
They were cracking me up.
It worked though. That's strut.
Yeah. I like how SF9, they were talking about how, because like the theme was they had to perform something that had won number one on a music show, and SF9's like, well, that's pretty easy for us.
Yeah.
And Icon's there like, which one does Icon choose? Yeah.
I was actually very happy because Icon did choose my favorite Icon song.
Yeah. It was one of my first K-pop songs, because I only got into K-pop like 2 weeks beforehand. And then my Alex, maybe they dropped early, but Alex's crew did a cover of it a couple of weeks after I got into K-pop. So that's when I actually got into Icon. And classic. It's always going to be one of my favorite songs.
So good.
Yeah. All right, so like, what were some of like the sweetest moments for you? Like for me, like one of the ones that come to me is like when Kwang, I'm probably butchering his name. Sorry, I'm Southern, but but how he came in and he cut the tension that was in the room, made everybody feel more relaxed. So I liked that. That was sweet.
I liked Hongjung when B2B came out after that. B2B finished their performance. Hongjung was like giving them both the thumbs up.
That was so cute.
That was cute.
It was gorgeous. And also when B2B found out they got third place, how excited they were after they did their ranking.
Melts into the floor. That was hilarious.
The looks on his face are just gold.
Oh, they're so funny.
But that's actually one of my sweetest ones was actually the reason, we've touched on this already, but the reasons for Icon and B2B coming. Like I just found that really sweet. B2B, as we've said, because they're, only getting older and let's challenge themselves. But Icon the same, that they were like, what did they say? They were most passionate during.
When they were on competitions.
Yes.
Yep.
I sort of just liked how because I'm just such a sucker for this sort of thing. How when they would show in the rehearsals, and if someone was messing up or something, everyone would be like, "Don't worry, it's gonna be okay. It's gonna be okay.
Yeah.
We're gonna do great. Don't worry about it. We believe in you. Yes."
Mm-hmm.
And then there was that scene where it's Felix was freaking out, and then Chan was like, "Don't
Was it
worry, bro.
Chan
Well, don't worry, bro. It's gonna be great. Are you stressed? Don't be stressed." And what I thought was so cute was that he was speaking in English, and Felix would be replying in Korean and then half in English, and it was just duolingual problems, right?
Yeah.
Bilingual issues.
And Chan would try to express himself in English, Korean, and then he'd go back to English halfway through the sentence.
Yeah, and he'd be like, "Oh, never mind."
Through the sentence.
Just kind of go back and forth. Yeah. I really liked how, and I didn't catch this on my first watch, but I saw a Twitter comment about it. And then I went back and rewatched the boys' performance, and I was like, oh, I can totally see it. It's how they incorporated pieces of choreography from their other Road to Kingdom competitors into their performance.
Oh, I didn't know.
I didn't know that.
I saw that.
I retweeted it because I was like, I first saw the comment on YouTube, and then I kind of did and saw some more about it, and and somebody had gone through and done timestamps, like at the very beginning when you had Sang-yeon and I think it was Sang-yeon at the beginning. I can't remember, him and Jack-yeon at the beginning to kind of do the thing like this. That was like a throwback to Very Very's performance during Road to Kingdom. All these other ones, I was like, I can totally see it now.
Yeah, I
That's
heard
cool.
they mentioned something about it too. So it's not just the fans. One of them said something that they did that. So, but I haven't seen that comment. Yeah.
Yeah.
Very cool.
I just
very cool.
Because they're kind of representing all of those things. So
Cool. Oh yeah. As I said, I didn't watch it, so I have no clue. I'm so clueless.
Yeah, I also didn't
I was
watch
probably
Road to Kingdom,
over-invested.
Oh, I just thought I just love the way they're all supportive of each other, because when they were trying to decide, when SF9 was backstage, and I think it was Youngbin saying, "Look, hurry up! I want you to ask for the boys next because I want to watch the boys perform." It's like,
I just wanted to watch them.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
But that
even
that
now,
wasn't
so supportive.
that
Was
was
that
another
Youngbin?
sweetest moment.
Yeah.
Was Bang Chan being concerned for Rowan? Yeah, when he was
Yes.
sitting down.
Oh,
Yeah, wasn't that
yeah,
sweet?
yeah.
You could tell that if he had half a chance, Bang Chan would have been over there and
Yeah.
Being like, "Hey, what's
supporting
yeah.
Honestly, these are
Okay,
the
Ron.
sweetest boys.
sweetest boys.
So
Yeah.
what about, what was your most wow moment of the episode?
the entirety of the Stray Kids performance, to be honest. But the friggin' backflip over the
wow,
the two people's arms, that was wild. Just the knives,
Oh yeah, the
Loved
knives
it.
were cool.
I thought that was that whole performance.
Mm-hmm.
My wow moment was actually when they were coming out, because all these groups, ATs are my alt group. I stan all groups. I'll probably stan B2B by the end of this as well. So other groups, I stan them all. Like when Han came out with that one-arm jacket, I don't know. Some of the entrances, I was like, oh my God. And then when SF9 came out in their suits, and I saw Zhuho with his hair slicked back. Is it a mullet? We might have to discuss this later.
We might have to investigate.
I lost my mind. And also, San, as I was saying in the chat, San came out, and I actually lost my mind and stopped it, went and had a cup of tea and came back. So
you're like, no, Frankie needs a moment. Frankie needs a moment.
There was one part of SF9 choreography where they did a sort of a hip thrust with their legs sort of. Yeah, there was a part there.
Oh,
that I just went,
yes.
"Woo!"
Oh.
That part.
Yes.
Even
And I went-
even the crowd was all going.
Yeah, like
Everyone else. They're
That
all
was my wow.
Well, I think Stray Kids and the boys too. That they were the two real wow performances for me. And I did have the benefit, of course, in watching them in the sort of the live, the month before. And I'm sure Frankie knows I was yelling on her like live stream at the time. Things I think I was yelling, I am not okay. so that sort of glimpse like the month before it was helpful for me, yes, but watching them again, those two performances, and Gion's sort of jump at the end, amazing.
I am always so worried for him. He does all these wild things in the
I
choreographies,
know.
and I'm like, please don't hurt yourself.
I know. I was like, oh, every time he landed, just over and over again. I'm like, oh,
I just remember back in Road Kingdom too. They had that one performance where he had to like flip, and then his legs go over like the the neck of the backup dancer, and it was just like, oh, it was just crazy. But anyway,
yeah. There's also that like the scene of rehearsals with the Stray Kids where Felix like fell, but he took out one of the other members too, and I was like, oh,
wow. You can see why they get injured so much.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I guess like my wow moment is kind of leads into our last question, which is like, who was your favorite performance of the week? Mine was the boys because just I love their style of dancing. Their synchronization is, to me, it's only second to 17, and they're close. I think they're phenomenal. When Chang So from BTB called her performance a work of art, I totally agree.
Yep.
It's like some of the other teams, they have very powerful performances and they're great for the style of dancing they do. But for me personally, just my personal preference, I like the lyrical ballet type movements.
They're elegant.
The
Yeah.
elegance that the boys bring to it. It's like, I had some of their music before Road to Kingdom, but during their performance on that, I just fell in love with them, and now they're one of my top groups. I think they're phenomenal, and it doesn't hurt that they're all stunningly gorgeous. I think they're one of the most, as a whole, good-looking groups in K-pop. So that does hurt, but just the pure talent is amazing to me. So they were my number one of the week. What about you?
Well, I was just going to say, this is really difficult for me, but I think people watching this will know that ATEEZ is my alt group, but I am not one. When you see my top 20 list or top 50 lists for the year, which I haven't done yet, I never go on the group. It's just I feel like I can be objective. So I actually had SF9 written down after they performed as my favorite, and I'm trying not to judge on if I like the song or not, because I love Good Guy, and it's one of my favorite songs of last year or whenever it was, the year before, I can't remember. They're all blurring into each other. So
it was January last year.
So there's some of them I liked the songs more than others, and I tried to just look at them straight on as performance. So I had SF9 because just they're so elegant. Still had SF9, but when the boys came in, it was like, oh, okay, I think it's going to be the boys because it's powerful. But as I had written down, that both SF9 and the boys are so elegant in the way they and like SF9 naturally, because they're also tall and lanky in the suits, looked elegant. But the boys have a way of doing that powerful performance. But still, look at Juyeon. He's like a ballet. He is like a ballet dancer. They're so elegant in their choreography. It's so unique. And so I had to be the boys for me. There's
a moment in their performance where their foot movements all match, and you can just it's like perfection. It's like I kept watching over and over, watching different members, and it's like they're so in sync. It's like imagine the hours of practice that go into get that.
For me, it was just Stray Kids. Like, okay, listen, I don't want to. I know this is going to make me sound biased. I love Stray Kids, and I love the song Miro. It's my favorite Stray Kids song. But that was a sick performance, and I'm still thinking about it. So I think for me that like, ooh, it was good. Like, oh y'all, loved
Krysti?
it.
Okay, so I'm going to pick the B2B performance, and this isn't like I think that the Stray Kids and the Boys are the best performances, but my favourite, and they're deserving to win if they get the 1 too. Yeah, B2B, just because, I saw it in the live stream, the live vocals, and I was just so nervous. How's that going to go? Can you do that? Is that possible? How's it going to go down? And then watching the episode to see how supportive and how much the other groups all just loved it, and then seeing the end result that it did actually work for them. Just looking back on Road to Kingdom, the Pentagon like Shine Spring So performance with the live vocals was just one of my favorite, and it was the live vocals in that. So I'm just really interested to see, and so supportive of pulling off some live vocals and how amazing it can be. So
Right. Yeah.
to be.
So go. We know they split announcing the rankings. So we know 3rd, 4th, and 5th. So there's 1st, 2nd, and 6th left, which I'm just like, I'm beside myself because my top 3 are the 3 that are left. And so one of them is going to be 6th. And I'm like, y'all, none of these.
Wait, who's left? The boys?
Hey, you've seen the giveaway photo, haven't you, in the next week's preview? You've seen the giveaway picture of the seating of the groups. So
I didn't see.
Are we gonna take that as the?
Wait, who's left? The boys, Stray Kids, and
Icon.
Icon.
Oh.
So according to Odo, that what appears to be happening is they are sitting in the order of the rankings, because we know BTB is 3rd, ATs is 5th, SF9 is 4th. So they're sitting in that order. And it appears in the photo that Stray Kids is 1st, the Boys is 2nd, and Icon is 6th. Which just and I wonder too, because like Changmin from BXQ, he made a comment, is like, we have a surprise in 6th place. I mean, it would be kind of a surprise for anybody, but it's like the way they set up the beginning of the show. Because they set it up at the beginning, how like everybody had picked Icon to be the eventual winner of the show. So it's sort of like, it feels like the editing of this and the writing of the script and everything is setting that up. So I don't know. They could be clowning us, who knows, but
Listen, we're all just, we're all a bunch of clowns at the end of the day when it comes to this stuff. So, and also like
for this stuff,
to be honest, like if they had been like, okay, Natalia, you have to go and rank these in order, I'd have been like, no, sorry.
Yeah. Don't you? I'm not.
No, goodbye. This has been fun. They're all amazing. I love them all. Goodbye.
I kept rewatching all the performances in order to try to come up with a ranking for the tweet thread that I'm doing. And it's just like, I knew my number 1 and I knew my 6, but it's like those 4 in the middle, I kept rewatching because I couldn't decide where because they're all so close.
And I think like in this sort of thing, it's like you ask 50 people their rankings and you're going to get 50 different ranking orders. You know what I mean? Like, so this is all, and the fact that it's not like an elimination show or anything, it's like, do the rankings like really matter at the end of the day? Like,
and it's all just personal preference. People on Twitter get their knickers in it because, oh my God, you're horrible because you put somebody 6. I'm like, well, they were really close to 1st, but they're all good.
Like they're all 1st in my heart.
They're
but
all amazing.
By the way that this show is set up, you're making me put them in a list. So it's like when you ask your parent who's your favorite child, and then you go, today it's you. Today it's you. Tomorrow, who
and that's
knows?
the thing. Every week my ranking is probably going to be completely different. So anyway, so any final thoughts before we sign off?
I hate the show. I hate the show just like I hated Road to Kingdom. No, I'm stressed. Look, I get so upset seeing them, even just after their performance, if they're not happy. Oh yeah, I just go into total mum mode. I get really upset. I don't hate it, but it's just that that last 10 minutes was stressful as hell, and I don't know how I'm going to last 10 weeks, guys.
I want to.
We believe in you. We believe in you.
Yeah, I want to make
worry.
them all cookies.
Yeah,
I know. Like, I just want to, make them all some cocoa, be like, it's going to be okay. Let me put on some soothing, royalty-free spa music for you. Don't worry about it. It's going to be good. Now, I'm pretty excited. I really like performance-based things. Like, I love watching, like, dance crews and things. So, I think I'll really enjoy it. And especially since one, I don't really see any way that with the introduction we got and the people in the groups that we're talking about, that there's going to be any sort of sinister editing that's going to somehow make them seem malicious against each other. I don't see that happening. And also,
that's just sweet.
I know. And since there's no elimination, I'm not stressed because it's all meaningless, like it's just who cares? Like, you're all gonna do great, and we're all gonna see you till the end. Like, so we
hopefully
don't need
it just
to,
brings, hopefully it just brings all of the
together.
groups more fans.
Mm-hmm.
So
exactly.
It will. Yeah, it really will. Mm-hmm.
Well, we know from Road to Kingdom that it did for those groups because since then, a lot of them have, like their sales numbers have gone up. Their placement on the charts has gone up, and I'm just, I'm super thrilled for all of them. Even Goldchild, who was one of the two groups that was eliminated, they have, their success has come up, and I'm just awesome because they were fabulous.
Yeah, I love Goldchild.
For a really long, this is embarrassing to admit, I had no idea that Goldcha stood for Golden Child. And I was like, who the hell is this Goldcha that everyone is talking about? What the is this? Yeah. Brain.
Now you know.
Now I know. Now I know. Womp, womp, womp.
Right. Well, I'm looking for the next week. I'm kind of curious about SF9's red outfits. They kind of stand out from the rest of them. So,
yeah.
Anyway. All right.
And we will of course be back after.
Yes, we'll be back.
I'm so glad we could get together for this, and thank you so much, Trish, for being the lead on this. Because as you see, I'm a total noob. I hardly know anything about the show, so it's such a relief to be able to hand over to someone who actually knows what they're talking about. So we'll be doing this every week. I'll try to get it up sort of, the Monday, Tuesday before the next episode. Keep an eye out. We've just uploaded another episode of the Mullet Review, and there is another episode of Road to Hagdom, which is probably going up around the same time as this. We're talking about fandoms, so that was an interesting chat.
It's a spicy episode. It's a spicy pepper.
And we will see you all here same time next week. Bye.
Bye.